Kyle Swicegood here, and I'm happy to have with me Major General George M. Johnson. Now, should I call you Mr. Johnson, General? What shall I call you? George. Well, let me ask you this. You were raised in Davie County, is that right?
No, my father was and lived here until he was 20, but he moved to Georgia.
Okay.
And from the time I was born until I was about 14, we were up here each summer and at Christmas time.
And I guess that's the Farmington area.
Yes.
Yeah. Now,
because my grandmother still lived in the old Johnson homestead there across the street from the Baptist church, and my aunt lived there until she met Veda Johnson, until she married the first time at age 79.
Is that right?
Yes.
79 years old. That is amazing. Well, let me ask you about your World War II experience. Did you go into the war as a major general, or did you ascend to that
No, I
position?
went to Air Force Flying School in Arcadia, Florida. And before Pearl Harbor. I was there on Pearl Harbor Day. They blacked out everything and continued that way for about 48 hours. There were rumors that the Japanese submarines were going to shell the base, but nothing happened. So 48 hours later, we went back to normal operations.
So now you were at Pearl?
No, I was at Arcadia,
You
Florida.
were at Arcadia, Florida.
In primary flying school.
I got you, okay. So what did you fly?
We flew PT-17s, Stearmans.
Now what is a PT-17?
PT-17 is a bi-wing trainer.
Okay, okay.
Very slow, open cockpit airplane.
Yeah. 2
cockpits, one for the instructor and one for the student.
I read the Doolittle biography, and I think I remember some of that. He was in one of those training.
Yeah.
So once you left the training, where were you? Did you go over to Europe?
Well, I went to basic flying school and advanced. Basic at Augusta, Georgia, advanced at Turner Field in Albany, Georgia. Became commissioned, and then I remained as an I was assigned as an instructor for transition training, first in the C-47, and then kept as an instructor in the C-47. And I eventually moved to Wisconsin, to Missouri, and to Austin, Texas, and instructed in the C-47 airplane until I went to Europe in January of 44.
So in January of 44, what was the condition of Europe?
Stalin had been insisting that we establish a second front. Churchill insisted on hitting the strong underbelly and coming down, finish up North Africa, and go up to Sicily and then to Italy. So the front was delayed in Western Europe until June of 1944. In the meantime, I had arrived with my troop carrier group in England in January of 1944. We flew over. I was assigned directly from instructing in the C-47 to join in the combat-ready troop carrier group. We flew down the east coast of South America, across to Ascension Island, up the west coast of Africa, to Marrakesh, then out to the 14th parallel and north into Land's End. We had to go out, away from the Bay of Biscay to avoid the German patrol bombers. But we went up to a little base called Bottesford near Nottingham, Robin Hood country. Cold, dreary, rainy, tough flying conditions. We stayed there until spring and moved down to Exeter. It had been a RAF fighter base. Of the 25 pilots, our Royal Air Force pilots who had been stationed there and had fought in the Battle of Britain, only 3 survived the war.
Wow.
That was the big shortage for the Royal Air Force.
And that's why the Americans...
So the base was available for us, and we continued training down there. And we launched the invasion of Normandy from Exeter.
So were you in the invasion of Normandy?
Yes. My group dropped paratroop was the night of the invasion at midnight, June the 5th, and then we went in at dawn the morning of the 7th and resupplied the troops that had been dropped the night of around midnight the 5th.
Now the night that you went in on the 5th, were you receiving a lot of flack?
I was not permitted to go in that night because I was a squadron operations officer, and they didn't permit the squadron operations officer and the squadron commander to fly on the same combat missions. So I didn't go in that night, but I went in on the resupply at dawn on the 7th and led the entire group in on that operation.
Scary?
Well, we were apprehensive, but we were so busy and so concentrated on what we were doing, we didn't have time to get too frightened. But we dropped the supplies where the paratroopers had been dropped the night before, and about 15 miles inland behind the Normandy Beach. And then I got a bird's eye view of Normandy Beach and the troops coming in, because we went out at 500 feet. Same drop level, yeah. And you could see the landing craft lined up, dropping troops off on the beach, and ships as far as you could see.
Mulberry Harbor.
Yep.
Could you see Mulberry Harbor?
Yes. Oh yeah. We're right by it.
And amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I hope to have another opportunity to continue this conversation, because I find this very fascinating. I've enjoyed you being part of our Rotary Club as a guest.
Well, thank you very much. They're very kind to invite me.
Well, we're glad to have you there. And as I tell so many World War II veterans, I want to tell you how much I appreciate your service. And although it was over 65 years ago, gratitude and appreciation still exists to this day.
Thank you. We had a great time along with it all. We participated in all 7 major campaigns in Europe, and dropped paratroopers or tow gliders in all of the operations. The big operation being in September in Holland, the largest operation we'd had, and that was the one that was called a bridge too far, because they asked the British general afterwards why the troops didn't advance further and faster, and he said, well, it was a bridge too far, meaning that it was just too ambitious for the number of forces set in there. And then too, the Germans were putting up a terrible resistance by that time.
Do you still have your jacket, your hats?
Yes, I do.
Do you think that's something I could see someday?
Yeah, I still have, and I have a model of the exact airplane.
I'd like to see it. I'd like to see it. Well, we're going to cut this one short today. I want to do it again. And again, I appreciate very much you sharing that.
Thank you, Lyle. Very nice to be with you.
Yeah, thank you so much.